We caught the cheater, but the private investigator's evidence was illegal, and that single ruling turned the clean arc of my divorce into a labyrinth where the law and the truth kept missing each other by inches. My name is Elise Walker, and I'm a family lawyer who should have known better. I met Daniel in law school, married him 3 years later, and built a life around calendars, depositions, and bedtime stories for our daughter Sophie. When the hotel receipt fell out of his jacket, no mention of a trip, he smiled the way charming men do when they are used to getting out of tight corners. He said, "Client meeting," kissed my forehead, and walked into the next lie like it was a warm room. I hired a private investigator because I wanted certainty, not suspicion. Jack Monroe showed up in a trench coat that looked like a cliché until he started talking, and everything he said cut straight through pretense. "You'll have what you need," he promised. And when I asked how he'd get it, he gave me that veteran's look that means don't ask a question you don't want memorialized. 3 weeks later, he slid a manila envelope across my desk. Inside were photographs and videos. Daniel with a woman named Vanessa Hale, hotel corridors and curtained windows, and the unmistakable choreography of a man who belongs to someone else. Jack said it would bury Daniel. I believed him until the judge took one look, asked 2 careful questions about consent and entry and devices, and tossed the entire package into the legal fire with a clean inadmissible. The world tilted. In 1 minute, I became the divorce attorney who got her own divorce gutted by tainted evidence. Daniel's lawyer called me paranoid and vindictive, and when Daniel petitioned for joint custody like a man auditioning for sainthood, he looked straight into the gallery where I sat and wore an expression that said, softly and unmistakably, "I'm going to take everything." The nights after that hearing were the kind that shred your sleep into thin pieces. I sat at our kitchen table while Sophie dreamed upstairs and stared at those photographs like they were tarot cards of a future that refused to be read. Jack came back without calling, leaned on my doorframe as if he'd known from the minute I hired him that this would happen, and dropped a thicker envelope on top of the first. "You wanted proof," he said. "You got more than adultery." Inside were ledgers, emails, and the kind of spreadsheets corporate lawyers insist don't exist until somebody plugs in the right USB. Stitch by stitch, an uglier picture formed, vendor kickbacks, consulting fees, transfers routed through Vanessa's personal accounts to shell entities tied to one of Daniel's flashiest clients. It was fraud brushed with cologne, money laundering done by a man who assumed charm is armor. The problem wasn't whether it was true, the problem was how we'd learned it. If the affair photos were poison fruit, these files were the orchard. The law is temperate and precise about how truth must enter a room, and everything Jack touched now fizzed with contamination. I told myself to be smart, to let it go, to win the custody fight on stability and routine and the 1,000 quiet facts of motherhood. And then Sophie said something that changed my calculation.
Click on the link to get the full video down below.